What is up, you guys? Wonder Bro here. Today I want to talk about dealing with intense anxiety symptoms. I know it's not always thoughts that, drive the anxiety. I know sometimes it's just those tired nerves. Maybe when you first wake up, maybe throughout your day right now in your journey, you are dealing with intense physical symptoms that you are having difficulty accepting. It's not always intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts can play a part, but like I said, it's not always just strictly intrusive thoughts. Sometimes you just can't stand the physical symptoms of anxiety. So dealing with intense physical symptoms of anxiety, especially when you're sensitized, aka those nerves are nice and crispy and fried, right? Those feelings are there, they're very strong, they're very intense, and you're having a lot of difficulty accepting them. So today we're going to talk about perspective. There is only two ways that you can view your anxiety that's going to get you there. When I say get you there, I mean get you to a place of acceptance, or at least practicing acceptance, because you're not going to be perfect at it. And those two ways are to either befriend the anxiety or belittle the anxiety. Now, I'm going to get to that in just a second, but first I want to say I can't expect you to accept something that you view as a danger. I can't expect you to practice accepting something that you view as harmful or a danger or the enemy. That's the big word here, the enemy, the monster, the beast, right? So we talk about acceptance all the time during the streams, the videos, the shorts, whatever. Every time you see me, I'm talking about acceptance, but how can I expect you to accept something that you view as the enemy? Okay, so before we even get into the realm of talking about accepting this thing and healing from it, we've got to work on your perspective. Before we can even sit down and have a discussion about acceptance, we have got to change the way you view anxiety. Now, again, I don't expect you to be perfect. This is something I just want you to chew on and kind of think about and play around with the idea of maybe there's a better way to view my anxiety that will at least get my foot in the door. It'll at least get me to the point where I can start playing around with the idea of accepting this thing. So again, before we even sit down and talk about this acceptance thing, we need to change the way you view anxiety, because you can't possibly start to accept something that you still view as the enemy, as the monster, whatever you want to call it, as the danger. So two ways to do that. Like I said earlier, you either have to start to befriend the anxiety, okay? And I said start to befriend the anxiety. This is not just something that happens in an instant. It takes practice. Or you have to start to belittle the anxiety. So I'm going to break down both of those, and this is the answer to the question, how do I deal with just intense physical symptoms and not so much the thoughts? But this also applies to the thoughts too, right? But anyway, so to befriend anxiety would be to adopt a compassionate, more of a neutral standpoint, where you just say, thank you for the false alarm. Thank you for these symptoms. Thank you for the feelings. And some of you, especially anybody who's new to this channel, might be thinking, how do I tell myself thank you for these physical symptoms that are just ruining my life, right? Again, that is your perspective. We've got to start to try to change that, because thank you to the anxiety is the same as saying, I know this is a false alarm. I know my body's just trying to protect me. I know it thinks we're in danger. Thank you for caring so much about me. Believe it or not, there's nobody in your life, and there will never be anybody in your life that cares as much about you as your anxiety. It's a little out of whack. It doesn't know any better. We have to teach it with acceptance that it can calm down, but it cares. So befriending it is changing the way you view it. It's not the boss fight that you think it is. And I know sometimes we do aggressive streams where we kind of word it that way, but again, either way you want to go about it, I've always told people, whatever you want your accepting inner voice to be, fine by me, as long as it gets you into acceptance. And this is just one way to do that, befriending it, more neutral. Hey, thank you for being here. We've done videos in the past. It's just your protective big brother, your guardian angel. Thank you, but we're okay. Thank you for the alarm. There's nothing I need to do about it. Thank you for caring so much, but I'm going to show you by continuing living my life and not blowing this up in my head, making a big ordeal about it. And I know it's very intense, but thank you for being here, right? So that's befriending anxiety. Now, Again, this perspective is not going to sink in overnight. You've got many months, many days, many weeks, many years probably under your belt of viewing anxiety as a monster. It's going to take time, but you actively have to work on developing this new perspective each day. Every time you work on it, we're going in the direction we want to be, right? So the other way is to belittle. Now, this is more of the aggressive approach. It's more like saying, hey, you know what, you're not going to bully me. You can be there if you want to be there. Sometimes we say, fuck it, do what you want to do. I'm bigger than you. You're smaller than me. I'm in charge. I call the shots. This is more of the aggressive approach. It's belittling the anxiety instead of putting anxiety on a pedestal. You're knocking it off the pedestal and you're saying, you know what, I can do whatever the hell I want to do. You're not a problem. If you want to be here, be here. Do your worst. I'm not afraid of you. Now, again, this is a personal choice. I have given many examples of the accepting inner voice over the years on the channel, and like I said, it really does not matter. The words themselves are not what is working the magic anyway. It's just helping to cut out the worry, aka the fuel to the fire, because anytime you're worried and seeing this as a monster, as a danger, and you're worried about it, you're telling your brain, oh my God, there's a problem. Ironically, the brain responds with more anxiety. So we're just trying to get rid of the worry. It does not matter what your personal taste is, if you want to befriend it, if you want to belittle it, as long as you knock it off that pedestal and bring it down. Bring it down. Right now in your mind, anxiety is your world. It is the biggest boss fight. It is the monster. It is the beast. It is the thing that is ruining your life. It is this horrible, horrible thing. And that's just perspective. That is entirely just perspective. Some might disagree and say, no, it is this horrible big thing. How can you disagree with that? It's perspective. Right? There's so many people out there that deal with all sorts of feelings, thoughts, emotions, and their perspective determines everything. So how do you deal with intense physical anxiety? And again, this also applies to thoughts. You either have to start to befriend the anxiety or start to belittle it. Okay? And again, I say start because this is not going to be an overnight change. But every time you experience these symptoms and these thoughts, and instead of doing what you normally do, which is get up in your head and fight with them and worry about them, we have to start to change the perspective. Hey, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. I know you care about me, but we're fine. Or belittle. Hey, you know what? You're not calling the shots. I'm calling the shots. You can do whatever you want to do. And then once you start changing that perspective, that's the same as using the accepting inner voice, right? Then you put that energy into life. So there's two keys. That is, live your life and stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings. And the only way you can really stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings is to change your perspective of them, right? So we come full circle. We always come full circle to my two main keys, which is live your life. Don't sit there doing compulsions and Googling about this thing. And stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings. We always come full circle to my two keys, but this is just another way of saying, hey, how are you going to stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings unless you start to change that perspective, aka that accepting inner voice? This is a daily practice. Not to get too deep here, but for so many months and so many years, you have embedded the idea in your brain, right, that these things are harmful and dangerous and a monster. So to undo that is going to take a lot of chiseling away with a new perspective, trying to grasp. Dr. Claire Weeks calls it, you need to just try to grasp a new perspective. And she also says that it takes time for acceptance to become the attitude. This is not something that falls in your lap. And I'll give you one quick example and then we'll wrap it up here. If your entire life you have viewed, let's say, a certain person as this awful, horrible person, and they're really not an awful, horrible person. It's just maybe you had a bad experience with them. And from that day forward, every time you think of that person, you're just like, oh, I can't stand them. They're such a horrible person. And just over time, you have really turned this person in your mind into this monster. You're never going to get along with that person that way. And to start to try to change your perspective of that person is going to feel not so great. It's not going to feel very natural. You're going to be thinking, oh, this person disgusts me. I hate this person. So working on my perspective, I don't like to do that. It's not going to feel natural at first, right? So give it time for this new perspective to sink in, chew on it, try to digest it, and practice it. All right, you guys, my light just went out. That is my cue. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a thumbs up. Yes, we're going to get back to streams. I just really been enjoying doing the videos. It's kind of reminds me of the past, and it's nostalgic in a way. I haven't talked to just the camera off stream in a long time, so I've been enjoying that. Been really focused on my coaching. Hit me up if you'd be interested in the coaching. Other than that, check me out on TikTok, Vacate Fear, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And I will see you very, very soon, beautiful people. Thank you for supporting the videos as much as you support the streams. I really, really do appreciate that. And until next time, as always, if you want to level up your mental health, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Stay awesome.